I had already forgot. Thanks, Finn. Guys, welcome to my life. Okay, so a lot of you guys, I've not told all of you guys this, so let me tell you how this meeting kind of came to fruition, if that's the right word, is all the three ladies that are going to speak tonight, they earned a leadership retreat in Arizona with us a few months ago, and we are going to be releasing a leadership retreat in a couple months for our team. And so I kind of was like, why wait to the last minute to really start casting that vision? Just know a retreat is coming. It will be this year. It'll be a few months of, yes, you can come. It'll be a few months of like earning a spot, and it'll be so fun. I'm super excited. But I also know from my experience doing this business, which is going on almost 7 years, which is insane to say out loud, is that this business is so much mindset, vision. What you actually believe will happen happens, and if you believe it can't, it won't. But I think that hearing that from me all the time, kind of, like when your parent tells you something and it goes in one ear and out the other, but someone else says it, you're like, that was the best thing that I ever heard. Well, I'm excited for you guys to hear from other ladies tonight that I trust, that I love dearly, that I was so excited that they were the ones that volunteered to speak, because I truly believe that every one of you will take something away from at least one of them, if not all of them. So, Kelsey, I kind of want to start with you. First of all, just start off by telling your story.
Well, thank you guys for having me on. I always know and I always feel honored when I am allowed to speak on a team Zoom, because I know our teams are like our babies. We don't let anybody hold them, okay? And so I feel grateful that I am entrusted to speak to you guys tonight, because I know how much Brittany and Trista and all the other amazing leaders on here take pride in you guys and just being such an amazing team. And so I just feel so honored to talk. But I started this business, you guys, honestly, just for $500. I was living a glorified paycheck to paycheck life. I thought that that's what I was supposed to do. We were paying all of our bills. It wasn't like I was struggling, and if any of you can relate and maybe feel like your story isn't enough because maybe you're not at rock bottom. Maybe you don't feel like your story is like a rags to riches story. Like maybe you feel like we're okay, but we just want more, then your story still matters. Right? And I don't want you to think that just because you can't afford any of your bills, or you can't, you're not drowning, that doesn't mean that God didn't make more for you. Right? And if you have the calling on your heart, it's just as important as the next person who has the calling on their heart, no matter their external circumstances. And so when I started, I just honestly was like, I gotta find something else. And I wanted $500. I saw Aaron posting about the business, and I honestly just didn't know anything about anything. I had like 300 followers on Instagram, not many followers and friends on Facebook. But what I did know is if Aaron was doing it, then I could do it. And one thing that I always will remember is I was on a call with Aaron before I joined, and I said to her, hey, what do you think that makes you successful that other people who do businesses like this aren't successful? She said, honestly, I just share my life as an adventure. So there was born #Thornton Family Adventure. Okay, don't do that, please, dear Jesus. But it was a way for me to keep it personal, but also have some business in it as well. And it just allowed me to kind of share our story and share our life, and allowing people to get to know me. And I didn't start very fast. My first month, okay, it took me 3 weeks to get my first customer. And then Aaron gave me 2 customers, and I remember being like, this girl feels sorry for me. I'm not gonna allow her to feel sorry for me. I've got to get my own customers. And I didn't know how any of the business worked at the time, so I was just like, why does she feel so bad for me? I can do this. So I ended up signing my customer, signed a distributor, and just felt like once you sign your first one, it's kind of like you just keep repeating that. And you just can sign, if you sign 1, you can sign 2, and if you sign 2, you can sign 3, and it just keeps going on and on. And so then after that, I went Ruby. There was $1,000 Ruby bonus, and then also the It Works cruise, which I was going to mention anyways, Britt, because that's something else that we earned. And then we earned the leadership retreat. I remember driving with Trista to the leadership retreat in Gatlinburg. And so there's been so many contests that I feel like I've been motivated by, just because I didn't want to miss out, but I also never counted myself out. And I know I'm answering some of your questions, Brittany, so I don't mean to, but as I'm talking, it's just like, that's one thing that I never did. I was always just like, let's just see what happens. Like, why would I not go for it? Because I know so many people who count themselves out before they even start. And I remember almost feeling like, out of all the people in It Works, like, I'm still able to earn this cruise, or I'm still able to do this, but I just kept going. I was just doing what I was supposed to do, and so, to see what happens. And so I don't care if you're a new distributor right now and you're like, I would never earn a retreat that Brittany is talking about. Get that thought out of your head right this second, because you have no clue what you're capable of. And most of the time we overestimate what other people do and we underestimate what we can do. Right? Isn't that the truth when we look on social media and you're like, oh my gosh, that person's so perfect, and we're taking like one aspect of their life and then we're not thinking about all the other areas that they're not showing, right? But we're comparing them to that one area. Just that one area, and you just don't know what you're capable of until you try. So when I went Ruby, I remember Erin said to me, okay, pull out your diamond chart. And I was like, what? I was like, isn't like Emerald the next rank or something? And she was like, yeah, but there's a $10,000 bonus on the line. And I was like, oh, like, can I do it? And she was like, yeah, of course you can do it. Like, why would you not do it? Why would you not try to do it? And I was like, okay. And I was like, well, I don't have a printer. She's like, write it on the back of your paper. She's kind of bossy, but I love it. So I was like, okay. And so I drew it, and I had 12 spots left. And I was like, okay, so my volume that month, I finished the previous month at Ruby at 4,000 in volume. I finished and I promoted to Diamond that next month on the 25th. Okay, on the 25th I promoted, and my volume was at 17,000. If you would have told me that would have happened, I would have been like, there's no way I'm getting 13,000 in volume. How the heck am I going to do that? But the moment you start to try to figure out how, you're dead. You're dead, because there's things in this business that you just can't explain. All you have to do is trust the process. Trust the things that have gotten you where you need to go. And so what my challenge to you guys is, and what I hope stands out to you, is what I'm about to say next. So make sure you have your pins out, is that you are a business owner. Brittany, Trista, all the other amazing leaders on this team have provided you a list of things that you can do. But you want to know where that list came from? Their experience, their doing. The corporate didn't give us a list. And we used to have a 6 list, and we used to have the core 4, and we used to have all these other things, but they created their own list because they're business owners. Do what's working for you. If you are not looking, if you're one of those people that's like, I'm doing the list and it's not working, that's on you. Do a different list. Do something that works for you, right? But give it 21 days and see if it works. Give it 21 days and see if it works. But if you're not even thinking, okay, I signed 2 customers. Where did those customers come from? Oh, they came from messaging. Do more messaging. Oh, where did my distributors come from? Oh, those ones came from my TikToks and my Reels. Wow, do more Reels, do more TikToks, right? For me, what's allowed me to be successful is that I've always adjusted to what worked for me, right? I never really tried, and when I did do this, when I did try to do this, when I tried to do what Brittany was doing or what Trista was doing exactly, I never worked exactly like that for me. I had to decide how I was going to do it my way, what was going to look like for me, and put my own spin on it. But when we get so married to the list, it never works, because now you're not married to the results, right? And yes, the list is a guideline, but it's not what you're married to. What you're married to is whatever is giving you results. So for me right now, it's hosted posts, it's TikToks and Reels, and it's getting on my stories and talking. Okay, now that wasn't on my list 4 years ago. That wasn't on my list 1 year ago. But you know what I did is I said, oh, Well, that worked. I just got a customer from that. Oh, well, I just got a distributor. I just gained 1,000 followers. I just did this from that. Let me do more. That's what thinking like a business owner truly is. It's not wondering like, well, why isn't the list working for me? And having this like feeling that you don't have any control over it when you do. But you have to figure out what's working for me. Let me do more of that. I don't care if you do the list or not, if you're signing a bunch of people, right? I don't actually care if you're interacting and posting and messaging and blah, 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 blah. If you're signing 100 distributors a month, why would I spend my time interacting if I have 100 applications in my folder that I need to get to? That's not more important. But sometimes we get so caught up in the list, that we forget to be a business owner. And so I encourage you guys to start thinking like business owners and adjust to what works for you and evaluate what is working for me. Because posts used to work, but to me now, posts are just my resume. I don't sign a distributor from a post. Like rarely do I expect somebody to text me ready. Like, I'm doing that because when I get followers for my reels and my TikToks and they scroll through my profile and they do want to text me, they have something to text me. But never am I disappointed that somebody that same day just didn't text me, right? So I don't know where that came from, but yeah, anyways, the business has been awesome for me. My story got lost somewhere in there, but that's pretty typical.
I just love you so much. You answered every single question I was going to ask you. No, I do have a couple questions. So one thing I want to put a spin on what you said is that sometimes I also think we expect the results right now. For instance, 6 of the distributors that I've personally enrolled this month are my existing customers, my customers that have either signed 4 months ago or just completed their 3rd auto. 6 of them were my customers. And so it's like, and I was talking about like the contest they had this weekend. It's like immediately I was like, I knew that my harvest was coming from something I had done 3 and 4 months ago. And I think that's the different perspective. Is it's another reason why I wanted to have this Zoom of like contest winners, because I don't want to release the contest. It may be 2-3 months before I release it. But here's the thing. I want you to know it's coming. Any work and any blessings that you see, you're going to grow your paycheck anyways. But that way, when I release it, you're ahead of the game because you have planted so many seeds. There's one thing that I do want to ask you specifically that you said about your story, and it just really fires me up. And I have people on here like this because they don't financially need this. It's so easy not to be consistent, and this gets put on the back burner. And I don't care for me, but I care, I'll be honest, my red's gonna come out right now. I care for them because I know what they're leaving on the table. So what did you have to do to switch it in your mind of, okay, I may not need it, but why wouldn't I go get what's on the table for me?
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. So it's funny because at our at conference, a girl actually asked me this, and I said, "Yeah, you might not need it to pay your bills, but your quality of life depends on it. The quality of your life. You can pay your bills, that's great, but is that all you actually want to do in this life? Because if that is, then cool. You don't need this business. You already have it. But if you want to start a savings account for your kids, if you want to buy your parents a trip where you all go together and you all are, you know, going to Disney World, or you're creating memories, or you're saying, you know, like I want to add $5,000 to my kids' savings account every single year. And then by the time they graduate, they'll already have a full college tuition paid for, right? And that mindset has to start with you, because if everybody around you is just living paycheck to paycheck, you're not going to think that way, right? But I'll tell you a story. So my grandpa came from nothing, worked his way up in the financial industry, and I think it was 2 years into the business, and he got really sick, and they were like, you know, he's not going to last much longer, but you need to come. I was living in Indiana at the time, and I drove down like that same day I found out he was sick, and my dad was like, you have to come because you have to sign a $10,000 check because before he dies, like this has to get out of his will, and he's leaving to his 11 grandkids $10,000 each, and that's just before he dies because of his estate purposes. And I was like, that's my goal. That's my goal. Like I want to have to get my grandkids there fast enough so that I'm leaving them with 10 grand each because I can. Right? But like sometimes we get so caught up in like, well, I'm good. I'm just paying my bills. I'm good enough to make it seem like I'm good. But at the end of the day, if there is any question that if you didn't get paid for 6 months, if your business, if what is ever is providing you an income, whatever is providing you an income didn't pay you or closed its doors tomorrow, you could be okay. Then for the next 6 months, if that's not the case and you're not financially stable, then you need this business. Because 2020 has proven to us that anything can happen. And that if you're not prepared, that's on you. And so for me, I never wanted to feel like I was relying on anything or anybody but myself to give me an income. And I wanted the freedom. And so I think that when you start to look long term and you start to say, you know what, not only did I not necessarily need this, or maybe my life didn't depend on it, but my quality of life depended. The quality of how I was living depended on it. And that is something that's just not really, that like Britt wrote, like the life of abundance, that's not necessarily taught to us. But knowing that it's okay. We need more people that are good with money.
I love that so much.
Obligation. Right?
One thing that you just said that I want to show them real quick, guys, even I know we have multiple teams on here. If you've not read Secrets of a Millionaire Mind, I'm telling you, it's crucial because oftentimes our past and our upbringing makes us feel a certain way about certain things we are trying to attract, or we almost feel guilty. We have rich mindset, broke mindset. But also reading this, I want to tell you a story because Kelsey said it. I was like, oh my goodness, some of you have heard this, but this is what happened to me. When I was younger, I remember my uncle was able to help me pay for dental school so that I didn't have to get a student loan for the full student loan because I paid for my own college and I had to pay him back. But I remember thinking to myself, one day, I want to be able to, and what's funny is one of the reasons why I work, and I told my mom this the other day, it's like, it's so funny. My niece and nephews, they don't know this, but I am prepared for the day that they need me, and I have money waiting for them. Now, if they don't need me, so be it, but like, my uncle just left that in my heart of like, I want to be able to do the exact same thing where I can give to family when needed. So, Kelsey, I love that so much. I want to ask you one more question because I know you do have to go. For your next training. When it comes to, let's say, promoting, let's say earning a contest, we've been in long enough that we can say, I can tell you, like from personal experience, when I think I can't, I never do. And when I think I will, somehow it magically happens. And the only difference in my tasks, because the to-do list is getting done, but there's a difference in doing the to-do list and not thinking it's actually going to serve anything and doing the to-do list and getting it done. What would you say is something that you do to make sure that you keep your mind right and make that decision? Is there anything that you can think of that you're like, this is what I do, or this is who I surround myself with?
So I love that question. One thing that I've always done, but I didn't really actually realize like what I was doing until recently, is that whenever I have like something that I'm working towards, I find somebody that I respect and I tell them that I'm going to do it. And that is like something that holds me accountable because, and you can't just tell anybody, like you can't tell your friend that will be like, it's okay if you don't do it, right? Because then you're not probably going to do it. But if you tell somebody that you respect a lot and that knows that, like for me, it's one of the people is my husband. Because like he's called me out so many times on my BS where he's like, you told me you're gonna wake up at 5:30 for the last 6 days in a row and you haven't done it. And so like he's the person that will call me out. But I do think that like if you find somebody that will do that you respect, then that's super important. But the other thing is just working with a sense of expectation. And one thing that I will tell you is that a lot of people come to me and they say, like, how do you like build your self-confidence, or how did you find like a sense of worthiness? And here's the thing, is it's not about us. It's not about you or your worthiness. You guys, like, when you doubt yourself, you're doubting God. It's like an insult. Like, it's not even about you. Your dream, your vision, your future is not about you. It's about what you're doing for the kingdom. Not to get all preachy, but like that's the point. The point is, it's once you get out of your own way and you stop saying like, am I worthy? Okay, nobody's perfect. So you're gonna have some crappy days. Do you not think that there's days where I want to throw my freaking phone against the wall? You're wrong. There is days. There are days where I feel so overwhelmed I don't even know how I'm gonna do it. But instead of letting that be a bad day, it's just a bad moment. It's a bad moment, and I get back on my horse. That's what makes me different than other people who aren't successful. It's the fact that every single time I trust myself to get back on the horse. I will always get back on the horse no matter how many times I fall. I trust myself and know that. So if I don't hold a promise to myself, then guess what? I try again. If I forget to do something, guess what? I'm back at it the next day. Because there's always opportunity for growth. There's always an opportunity for me to get better. And it's kind of hard, you know, Britt, when people hop into the business at first and we teach them to do self-development, as great as it is, I feel like what self-development can do at first is also help you identify a lot of your areas which you need to grow. So sometimes it can feel defeating. Like, it's inspirational, like you're excited, but then you're also like, oh God, I have to face that. That's a little bit scary and ugly, that like I'm not very disciplined, or maybe I am lazy, or maybe I need to work on my communication skills or whatever. And so it kind of sheds light on some things that you need to work on. And I think that some people shy away from that because they think, oh, if I can't portray myself, or if I can't be seen in a positive light in every area, then that means that I'm not worthy. And that's the opposite. Because in those areas that you're going to grow is where you're going to be able to have your testimony. In those areas that you needed to get better at, that's where your story is going to come into play, right? That's where you're going to be able to say, hey, I'm going to tell you, I used to run people over in my business. I had a lot of people leave because my leadership sucks. But do you know what I'm really good at now? Leadership. Because of how bad I was at first. Because of how many people's feelings I hurt. Because I didn't know how to talk to people. Because my communication was so bad. But that's why I dug my heels in and I said, I need to get really good at this. Right? And so I think instead of looking at it so much as like, oh, well, my mind always has to be right, we have to prepare for our minds to sometimes not be right and still do the work anyways. So even though that's not really an answer of like what I do to get my mind right, I just expect the bumps. Like, I know that there's going to be those days. I know at the beginning of the month I'm going to be like, oh, new month, fresh start, let's go. Then I'm going to see prelims, and maybe depending on how the previous month was, I'm going to feel a little certain type of way because my paycheck isn't where I thought it was going to be or wanted it to be. And then I'm going to feel a little discouraged, and then I'm going to be like, okay, suck it up, Kels. And then the middle of the month's going to come, and it's going to feel like, holy crap, my volume's not where I need it to be. I'm not halfway to my goal because I'm halfway through the month. I'm going to feel a little overwhelmed, and then I got to get back on the horse. Right? And then the last couple of days of the month, it's pure adrenaline. And so if I know that, it's kind of like when your period comes, right? And you're like, oh, well, that explains why I'm such a bitch, right? At least you have a reason that you feel that way and you feel better about it, right? Like, it doesn't, have you ever just, it's not your period and you're like, what is wrong with me? But then it is your period and you're like, oh, thank God, now I can explain it. It's the same thing. If you can expect it, it feels so much easier to handle and to deal with. And so just expect that during those months, like, you are going to have to do some things to check yourself. You are going to experience those times where you have to snap out of it, get yourself out of it, let's go. Like, it's not going to always feel good, but it's always going to be worth it.
I love that. Thank you so much for hopping on. I appreciate when I asked, you were like, I will do it. I got 30 minutes, but I will do it. I appreciate you because you got the ball rolling for me. Love you, friend. All right, so we're gonna switch, okay? So I'm just so excited, seriously, guys, because
sorry, my computer froze, but thank you for having me.
No, you're good. I just like, is she like smiling and not gonna move? But okay, next. I was like, you did it again.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye, friend. Okay, Melody, I'm so excited to have you on. It was so crazy that when we went to this retreat, I'll be honest with you, even though I'm outgoing on social media, things like events like that, I was excited, but not excited. Like, I wanted to go because I didn't want to have FOMO, but I actually didn't want to go. And what I mean by that is I'm nervous around new people and being outgoing on social media. It's hard. The people don't realize that, like, no, I'm actually an introvert. And what I'll tell you is you were just such a blessing and being around all the people. And it was like, God was all over that event. So when you when you said that you would get on tonight, I was like, yes, like I need my team to hear from other people that they may not have a chance to hear from. So will you start by kind of telling a little bit of your story?
Yeah, absolutely. I am so excited to be on here and honored. And so thank you for this opportunity, Brittany. My story is a little bit different. I didn't get in for the money. I got in because I started using the products. I was a customer and I fell in love with the products, and I started losing weight, and then people started asking me what I was doing, and I kept shoving people towards my enroller. And just because I have done this before, I had done this type of thing before and hadn't been successful, or thought it wasn't going to be successful for me. And so my enroller Brittany looked at me and she was like, when are you going to stop shoving customers at me and actually like make them start getting paid for this? And I was like, okay, well, I've been a nurse I've been a nurse for 16 years, and I was paying my bills, like we were just talking. I did not officially need the money. And so I got in, I thought, well, if I can pay for my coffee, then I would be happy. And that's why I joined business. And now here I am, Double Diamond 3 years later. And and one of the questions Brittany had asked me was like, what was my defining moment? Okay, so I got in, I was happy. I made $25 my first month, signed my 4 customers, got my shopping spree. I was just thrilled with that, and excited to be paying for my products for free. Okay, and I was good with that. And then all of a sudden, 2 months in, and God knew that God knew that I needed this business. 2 months in, all of a sudden, I'm the primary sole provider for my family, and no longer had my husband's income. And that was that defining moment for me, that I was like, okay, Lord, you have placed this into my hands and into my family's hands for a reason. And now it was a non-negotiable for this to not be successful for me. And I need you guys to understand that and hear that from me, because I think that is the switch for people to take it to the next level. Is that all of a sudden it's like, I can do this, I need to do this, I want to do this, and I want to be successful at it. It's like I was dabbling to begin with, and I feel like and I know that's on my team too. I see people dabble, they play with it, and then it's not successful, and they decide it's not for them. I had that moment where I realized, I saw a customer here and there. I was doing fine over those couple of months, but then it became a non-negotiable for me to be successful. And so that was kind of my defining moment that's gotten me to where I am, today.
I love that. So it actually goes in the next question that I had. And guys, those of you that are on my team, I have to take notes. If not, we'll end up talking about squirrels like we normally do. So I'm just going to go straight down my notes. So when that happened, were there any obstacles that you felt like you had to overcome to, let's just say, even get to Double Diamond where you're at now? Because sometimes I feel like, I see it, and I'm speaking from experience of what I used to do. I would choose the comfortable tasks, the ones that on the outside it looked like I was doing the things, but I wasn't doing what I needed to be doing to be enrolling. So is there anything that you had to overcome of when you looked, you're like, okay, to take it from just a few customers, I'm going to have to do X, Y, and Z. And that's where you noticed your growth.
Absolutely. So I can post all day long. I'm a good poster. And that shows people that I'm working my business. I could post in the story all day long. Those are the two things I'm the best at. But when it comes to everything else, nobody knows if I'm messaging anybody. And so I don't know what personality types. I'm sure they're all that are on here. My personality type is red, yellow, and it kind of switches back and forth. I'm pretty even on both. And so knowing that, and something that I've learned is is my mindset. I struggle with my mindset. I struggle with motivation. I struggle with staying on task. I struggle with consistency. And then I'm emotional. So because I am emotional, I let those emotions, my mindset, all of that play into how I'm running my business. And so it has taken a lot of growth and a lot of personal development that I did not have in the very beginning, that I do now, to help me kind of get past those things. And I put checks into my life to kind of make it to where I know that I struggle with this. I know that I'm bad with this. I know that depression can get me down, and I put my business aside, but I sure as heck will post a lot. Okay. I sure as heck will do the stuff that's easy for me. But I'll miss all the rest. And you see it in my business, you see it in my host of posts, you see it in my enrollments. So what I've done personally that, and Brittany, I know is very big about this too, is I'm a 5 a.m. clubber girl. Okay. I wake up early every morning. I now have a new grandbaby. And so I'm waking up early with him. So now I have a little partner in crime, but, and I'm 40, everybody. And I just want to kind of point this out. Sorry, this is a total side note. I'm 40. I'm older. I was one of the oldest people at this retreat. I also work full time. I work 2 jobs. I'm a school nurse during the week, and I work in labor and delivery on the weekends, night shift. And so if I can do this business and do my KPI list and my task list and everything that's required for me to run a team and do the business and have the successful business that I am, that I do have, you can too. Okay. It's about priorities and mindset and putting things into place to make yourself successful. Time management. Okay. So backtrack. So, things that I put in place. Okay. I have an app called Tally. It's Tally. And it is, what it does is it makes little boxes that I just check off every single day. Okay. It's kind of a task thing for me. I have to have that. I go by that every day, because I know that this is the things I need to get done during my list. And I know Kelsey was kind of talking about being task oriented, and sometimes you need to focus on other things, and that's very correct. But if you are struggling in your business by not doing your 6 list, KPI list, whatever it takes, whatever you guys call it, I suggest downloading this app to help you. Because you can get sucked in and drawn in sometimes to some of those tasks, and you can't move past that. Or you sit there at the end of the day going, I worked my business and I feel like I worked my business all day long, but yet I still have all these boxes unchecked, or I still didn't message these people. And that's kind of helps me stay focused. Like I said, I wake up at the first thing in the morning and I spend time with the Lord. And that is just what has been like probably the biggest mindset change for me. Now, don't let me deceive you by saying that I still don't struggle. I feel like the devil attacks me in the times that I am trying to push forward. I want to be ambassador by November. It's like I am this close to triple. And it's just like I have these huge goals, and I feel like he is just attacking me left and right. And so with that, he knows that that's my weakness, is my mindset. And so that's you getting up at 5 a.m. is not going to, may not cure it tomorrow, but consistency, being with the Lord, working on self-development. That is what I do every morning for an hour before I even start my day. And then if I have time left over, some of my KPI task lists, and then move on. It's just, I'm kind of left with, usually I'm left with messaging, which I hate. But I've got that thing reminding me, you still have 5 more messages. You still have 4 more messages. And so that's kind of what's helped me keep on track. I did something new this week that has really, I don't know, I've enjoyed. There is an I Am app. It's called I Am. And it sends you I am statements or affirmation statements, and you can set it pop up on your phone like a banner. And so all of a sudden I pick up my phone and I have it set to like 8 times a day, or 8 or 10 times a day. I pick up my phone and it says, anxiety will not control me. That's the one that I just had just pick up me. I was like, thank you, Lord. I needed that in that moment. Just as reminders, you may sit there and write my affirmations, my gratitude, all the things that I do in the morning. But to have that continued reminder pop up all day long is just a breath of fresh air for me.
I love that. Okay, one more question about like the contest that we all earned. So when it was announced, would you say that, and either answer is fine, but would you say that when it came out, you're like, oh, that's in the bag? Or were you like, I don't know that I can actually do that? And then walk me through then starting to do the things to earn the points for the actual contest. Like, what did it look like when the contest was released? And did you think that were you even planning on going after? What does that look like?
Okay. So it was not in the bag. I can completely be honest with that. I'm there with people like Kelsey Thornton and you and Aaron Tweed. Okay, hello. I mean, I'm like, I feel like a nobody. So like when you have Elite Legacy putting out and you know all those amazing people that are in there and that are amazing leaders and top enrollers, and you just sit in my mind, again, the devil is telling me you shouldn't even try. Like you shouldn't even try. But just to give a brief background, my world fell apart a year and a half ago. My husband was arrested for a DUI, and he's an alcoholic. And so my world mindset, everything kind of crashed. I let myself just kind of bury into that. And in July of this last year, I decided to start digging back out of that. And that's where I started my 5 a.m. club, journaling, that kind of thing. Once I got myself fixed, okay, because I can't go anywhere broken. I can't lead anyone broken. I'm not going to be successful, motivated broken. Once I got myself fixed, all of a sudden, Alyssa announces this contest. And I was like, now it's time for my business to be fixed. Now it's time for Melody to make a comeback, okay? Melody has been stuck. Melody has been living in this crazy life that she didn't choose. Now that I've worked on me, and now that I've gotten me back to where I am, now it's time to take my business to the next level. And it was just the motivating thing for me to be able to say, I'm going for that and I'm going to be there. And I just want you to know, Alyssa's already announced that this year we're doing it again, and we're doing it at the Pentecost Ranch on my dream board already. What I'm working for is I will be at the Pentecost Ranch this year. And I'm already planning on that. That is on my dream board. And so did I think it was in the bag? No. What I did make a change is that I started setting these checks into place and started making sure I was consistent, and then went above and beyond. And then I took I was smart, and I'm just going to be honest with you. She laid out what the point system was. Okay. And I'm not sure what Brittany's point system is going to be for you guys or how you guys earn it, whether it's rank points, whatever. But Alyssa had a point system. I looked at that to see where I can get my max amount of points at, and I went for it. I didn't care about a chart. Because it wasn't about a rank. It wasn't about you getting your people to a certain level or how many rubies you pop or whatever. It was all about personal enrollments, helping your team get their 6s, helping girls get their 150 shopping sprees. It was about enrolling DT. I looked at what I can get the most points for, and that's what I focused on. And I went all in, above and beyond, to be able to get those mass points. And I remember when she announced, after I submitted my numbers, and I was like, I'm not going to be close to anybody. Like, I'm literally, that first month, I was like, I'm not even going to be in the running. And I remember submitting my first month, it was like 4,800 was my points. And so then she announced, she goes, lowest possible points to earn the trip was 3,300. I made it. I made it above. And I was just so excited. I was like, Mel, this is real. Like this, oh my gosh, like this is real. I've done this. I could totally do this. And so that made me go into the next month even more, kill it and make my next points be even higher. And I think my next points was like 6,500 or something like that. And so I easily capped over that, like 1,100 points to be able to earn this retreat. And it was all just because I was determined. And again, I had set those things in place so that even when my mindset was lacking, I love how Kelsey just said just a minute before, we're sprinting at the beginning. Reds are sprinters. Okay. We sprint and then we get burned out and tired. And then we take a little rest and then we sprint again. And that's kind of how we sprint at the beginning, we sprint at the end. But you can't win that way because you lose your business in the middle, and that you need that consistency. And so again, setting those things in place for me to make sure I don't drop the ball has been what has been key.
Thank you so much. You are the best. Like, not only is your story so powerful, but I feel like you gave them such like tangible things. And so I want to reiterate, guys, what she said, but put it into like things that I've done. In the 6.5 years that I've been doing this, there have been times that I've killed it and times that I have not. Other than mindset being like, I can do it versus I can't do it, there was something else that drastically was different. I either had a plan or I didn't have a plan. And because God figures, he has it all figured out, but you have to like tell him what you want. Not, I think I want this, I kind of want this. This is one day, this is another day. Draw the line in the sand. And here's the best part is, you know, although this Zoom is about contests, it's really not about contests if you're noticing. You could apply everything they just said right now. If you're trying to go executive or Ruby, do it. If you're trying to go Emerald, do it. You know, and that's the thing is like, let's act like there was a contest on the table. Take what you're working towards right now and turn it into a contest for yourself. For me, that's exactly why we say, make sure you have your chart figured out with volume by, I always say, no later than the 3rd or 4th of the month. I do say I give people a couple days grace because I know me after staying up till 1 or 2 o'clock, like sometimes I take the first just to like breathe, whatever. But by the 3rd, I know exactly what I need. Now, why is that important? Because if I'm going to do the tasks, I want to know why I'm doing the tasks. I want to know what outcome I'm looking for with the tasks. And I'm just going to transfer over to the next speaker, and her name's Erin. And let me, first of all, those of you that don't know Erin, she's actually one of your guys' uplines too. So we're actually under Erin. So I signed with Alyssa. Alyssa placed me under Erin. I want to say that we joined within a week and a half of each other. But something, you know, to finish what I was saying about the things and knowing where you're going is that, and she's really good from day one. She's been very good at this. She knew what she needed and she went and figured it out. And something that Kelsey talked about was that like, what's on our list now wasn't on our list 3 years ago. What was on our list 6 years ago wasn't on our list 3 years ago. It's always changed, but you have to be willing to change those things. But you also have to be willing to, what is this list even trying to accomplish anything? And the reason why I brought Erin up real quickly is I always wanted to make Erin and Alyssa proud. That's just my personality. I'll never forget when she was promoting, I think it was to maybe presidential or maybe triple. I remember having the conversation. I was like, I got my leg figured out. Go do what you need to do. I have this figured out. I almost felt proud that I could help her get where she wanted to go because I knew together we were changing so many lives. But had I not known what I wanted out of it, I wasn't doing the tasks to make them proud. I was doing the tasks to accomplish the goal I was going after. So with that being said, you have to know exactly what you want, whether there's a contest on the table or not. Right now, your contest is growing your check. Some of us are excited. Some of us would rather earn a contest than a check. Those are like the partiers, like, oh, I'm just here for the party, right? Some of us are here for the money and some of us are here for all of it. So with that being said, I'm super excited, Erin, that you were able to join. So will you just kind of start out and tell us your story because it's super, super powerful.
Yeah. So hello everyone. I'll be quick because I know that, you guys are reaching like the hour. But so I've been in the business, like literally, I think I signed July 31st and you were August 7th. So literally a week. And, I got started, I would say I was not in a situation where we desperately had to have money because I was working full-time as a nurse, but I came back from maternity leave. And if you've ever been in like the business world or anything, maternity leave, most of the time you get 60% pay, right? And so I just felt like I had a good job. I did all the things, but we couldn't catch up. We couldn't catch up after like putting Finn in daycare and stuff. And, then like homeowners dues in Texas, those popped up like right after. So there was all these things that were happening. And I'm like, gosh, like the only way that I can make extra money is to go back to nursing school. And I didn't necessarily have that passion to just do it. So I was kind of sitting on the fence, like, all at the time of being introduced to the business. So I was like, I'm just going to jump in and go for it. So did that. Long story short, my second month in went Ruby, 4 months in went Diamond, went double 7 months in, then double promoted to Prez 1 day shy of my year anniversary, then went Ambassador in 20 months. We've taken 2.0 to triple. I've taken Kyle's account to triple. Short story, going through the month that we were promoting to presidential, I experienced a miscarriage. So that started kind of our unexplained infertility journey, trying to grow our family. We ended up doing IVF, and now I have my very precious daughter. I do love her, but some days I'm like, oh, we always said, give us the strongest embryo, and we got it. But, and then God had a sense of humor when she was 7 months old and I got pregnant on my own. So my two littles are 15 and a half months apart, and Forrest is about to be 2 in April, and he was born with a cleft lip and cleft palate. So life has hit me pretty much all the time, like throughout this 6.5, 7 years. So I know we'll probably go into a little bit of that.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of what I want to start out with is from day one. I will say for me, although I feel like, yes, I was on your team, but we very much so work side by side.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't have Zooms. We didn't have scripts. Back in the day, friends, when we got on a call like this, you had to call in a number and you could listen to people be interviewed, right? Like, and I remember being interviewed as a Ruby, and I'm like pacing around my bed, and my house was so small that you could barely walk around the bed. But here's the deal. We kind of just together made that decision of, we're going to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to do what it takes. Time's going to pass anyway. So even 50, honestly, I'm going to speak for you for a second, but speak about myself. For me, any extra was more than what I could ever imagine anyways. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what I want to speak on real quickly. If any of you joined for free product, and let's say a couple months in, you're getting a couple $100, and you get to the point where you're like, that's not as much as I thought it was, God will check you real quick. Okay? You have to be grateful for a little for him to give you a lot. And that's what I feel like you've done a very good job of not only having a servant heart, but always taking, I wouldn't even call it life struggles or junk, because a lot of your struggles are absolute blessings. Mm-hmm. But that does not mean it was not hard, but you've never once not realized what you had your hands on. So how did you do that? How do you push through when so many are like, I need to take a break?
Yeah, so I was listening to the sermon. I actually listened to a sermon when I was going through IVF with Ellie. But it's crazy because I was listening to a recording from the church that we would go to, like in Houston, and they were doing virtual because obviously like the power and everything this past week has been crazy. So I was listening to the recording, and it was called Stuck in the Storm. And, sometimes it's like life hits you. In the very first sermon that I listened to, it was called, I think it was called like the beginning, or It's Not Over, because it was talking about how just like your story's already written. And so many times we're sitting there freaking out about like what's happening in the middle, but what happens in the middle is the part that we can control and we can adapt to and we can change, because God's already saying, I started you here. I already know what's going to happen. It is finished. It is done. You just have to trust that process. And so listening to that just put perspective in my eyes to be like, okay, like I want to show up each and every day for the things that I can control. I can't control life. I can't control the crazy weather with my kids being home all week last week and us not having power and all that kind of, I can't control that. I can't control the other life situations that are going to happen, but I can control how my effort and things that I'm doing each and every day. And so one of my leaders actually put it into great perspective, and I had never heard it worded like this. And she's like, so many times we think we have to work out of motivation when we should really be working out of discipline. Because so many times you're not motivated to get out of bed, right? You're not motivated to be like, oh, I want to send these messages. But it's if you flip your script and you say, no, like I'm disciplined enough to send out my messages. I'm disciplined enough to get up at 5 or 5:30 or whatever it looks like for you. And so I just thought that was so good, because so many times we're like, how do you get motivated? Nobody's motivated, really, if you think about it, and it's really just the discipline that I don't really want to have my alarm set every day for 4:20, but it happens.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so in the beginning of the business, what moment was it when you like realized what you really had your hands on? Because you joined for hair, skin, and nails, right?
Yeah. Well, and just, I was like, anything else that can help us breathe easier, because again, I was coming back from maternity leave. There were so many life changes that had happened at that time. My roles were switching at work, and so I was like, if I can just make a little bit of extra, that will just be fine and dandy. And so I would say obviously hitting Ruby, I was like, oh, okay, like I'm gonna go to the outlets and get a Kate Spade purse, and I'm not gonna feel bad about it. Like I like this, you know, like because it was extra. And then you know, when I went to Diamond, I was like, oh, this is like more than this is matching like my 2-week nursing paycheck. Like when I was getting, and so I was like, this is kind of nice. And then you know, once I remember hitting, obviously going to conference and just hearing other people's stories, and we had that moment of just like, oh my gosh, like this could be something that, because here's the thing, most of the time when you hear these different ranks, it seems like unfathomable, right? You just like, okay, like whatever. And that's why it's so important to get to events, or you want to be plugged in. But catching that vision and just seeing like, honestly, I really didn't know what was beyond Diamond. Like I was just like working towards that next thing, and I'm like, okay, because I'm just type A, and I'm like, pull it out, let's work towards it, go, 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 go. And so knowing like what the potential was and seeing that, that's what really opened my eyes, was like, oh, all these people are like hitting this rank and this rank, and they're doing this, and like, why can't we do that? And so I remember getting my first like double diamond paycheck, and I was like, okay, this is like more than match my nursing salary. And then Kyle quit his job, so you know, there was just a lot of things that were able to happen because of that. And I was that was like, I don't, why, if I'm making this kind of money, why am I not working hard? And I'm putting in 50 to 60 hours a week at my nursing job, and I'm not getting a pay raise. Like, let's be honest, like it might be $1 at the end of the day every year. Like that might be it. And so to be able to increase my paycheck tremendously in that way was huge for me.
I love that. I want to side note real quickly for those of you that are on here that you're thinking to yourself, how do I stay accountable when I don't feel motivated? Here's the thing, like she just said, I'm actually, the only times that I'm really motivated is if there's like a contest out. If I'm being honest, like, but it's not even because the contest motivates me, it's because I have a like secure plan. Other than that, I'm not motivated. I have to like make myself. So like what motivates me is I'm like, I have a bunch of eyes on me. And if I don't show up, they won't show up. So like, that's why I do the things. But I recommend getting yourself like that accountability partner that runs with you. I feel like that's what Erin and I did in the beginning. We kept it very fun, obviously, but it was very much so of like, I'm not leaving you behind. You're not leaving me behind. We're doing this together. And what she was saying of like, we had that moment. We were literally sitting at conference. They released these bonuses. She was sitting a seat in front of me. She turned around. We're both bawling. And she was like, we're coming home to our babies. That was as diamonds by the next year at the next conference. So what, 11 months, 12 months later, we were both in the top 100 of the company, had retired ourselves, and we were home with our babies. Mm-hmm. But I would be lying if I said that it was like smooth sailing. No, but we kept a positive attitude, and we were like, we know it will get there anyways, but we had a plan. Like she said, what did she do when she accomplished Ruby? She got the next chart out. What did she do when she went Emerald? She knew exactly what she needed. And so that's exactly what she was attracting through her tasks. Now, here's the last thing that I want to end with. And then I have one more question for you. So 2 more things. From day one, honestly, almost all of them, you've won any contest that they put out there. Mm-hmm. Almost every single one of them. How do you think you've done it? Is it just like when it's out, you make the decision? Do you work it? Like, what is it?
I think it's honestly like my brain, obviously, the end goal, and this is what I always tell like some of my new girls, is the end goal for all of us is freedom, right? Like there's no like, I'm doing it before this and this, but I think when they put out contests, the plan is already there. They give you an idea of how many points you can do. So it might take a little bit, but you sit down and you maximize, and it's like, hey, why sign, you know, if you can get, I remember like the cruise, it was like you could get 100 points for enrolling 4 customers, or if somebody got their 4 customers, then it was 500. Well, why wouldn't I start moving 5 or 4 customers and get an extra 100 points? So you've got to be strategic with it, right? It's like you're in it to win it. Like just think about the smartest strategy to get the most points. And so if you're sitting there focused on, I need to get 30 host posts up because I want to sign 30 customers, because I want to get 100 points over here, But hey, you can help somebody go Ruby. You can also help earn points as they're getting their 4 customers. You can also earn, I don't know what the point system and all that will look like, but that's how, even like the cruise and certain things, I just kept thinking, how can I maximize this? How can I get as many points as possible? Even, if it's Christmas cash, it's the exact same thing. If it's this contest, you can typically most of the time maximize on rubies and things like that. But then the best part about it is it's also going to reflect in your paycheck. It's not just, oh, I got these points. It's like, then you get to see the fruits of that labor, and it's only going to help you down the road too. It's setting you up for months and months and months of success.
I love that. I want to give something that I took notes on. Friends, and I know we have some of Erin's other side of her team as well. So, that Weekend Warrior contest, correct? You all are very well aware. Well, I got to have some conversations with some of the winners, or the upline of some of the winners. Guys, 2 of the winners, they signed between 10 and 13 customers. That's what they won. Like 11 customers, one of them had. People had already counted themselves out of the game. Any of you could have signed 11 customers. I know what they did. They literally started host to posting. So for 3 days, they did host to post. My point is, I have counted myself out of contests before. And anytime you count yourself out, you're not going to have it happen. But like Erin just said, and she pretty much wrapped it up how I wanted her to wrap it up, was, let's say you go after a contest and you don't quite get there, you're going to see the benefits in your paycheck anyways. And it's actually going to prove to you what you could have been doing all along. So sometimes I have to create, I'm crazy, friends. Sometimes I got to create little contests in my own mind. Like I'm like, ooh, I'm going to follow this contest, because I have to give myself something to get up for, because to be honest, I'm the laziest motivated person you'll see. I'm naturally lazy, right? But I give myself little things to work for. So I know we have like 3 more minutes, and I'm actually hopping on another team Zoom tonight for her at 10 o'clock. So I do have to get off here on time. Anything else that you would lead them with? Because 1, I think you're phenomenal. You know that. I love you to pieces. But from the day that you did it, you literally took this company by storm, which for me, I'm actually not a great leader. I'm a really, really great follower. And I feel like between you and Alyssa, you guys have just like shown what could be possible. And because you showed that it was possible, I was like, oh, okay, I'm just going to follow in their lead. And it may have taken me a couple of years to like see the boom that you guys saw years ago. But I'm seeing that now because you guys laid that groundwork for me. So is there anything else that you could leave them with, of like you speaking to them instead of them hearing it from me? I know how amazing they are, but I want them to know how amazing they are.
Yes. So the last thing I would leave you with is, know it, like we've kind of already talked about the game plan, but know exactly what you're going after, because sometimes when a contest comes up, like sometimes people can get overwhelmed, or if you don't have your charts and things of that nature planned out, if you don't know where you're going, it's just like getting in a car and trying to like drive, and you're like, oh, I want to get here, but you don't have your game plan. So the cool thing is, most of the time those points in contests and things, again, it's going to increase your paycheck. But if you already know where you're going, if you have that skin in the game, that's what's going to be the game changer, because most people that don't have success is because they don't have their game plan together. And so I know each and every one of you guys can earn whatever is going to come out whenever it's going to come out. But you have to, 1, make up that mind decision, but 2, you have to know your game plan, and just take time tonight or tomorrow and just say, okay, like what am I working towards? What is doable and what's going to happen? And then whenever the things are launched or announced, then you're going to be even more happy about it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, friend. All right, guys, I'm going to leave you with one thing. Just remember, anything that I announce and when I announce it, you're going to be glad that I gave you this head start. Get a game plan for what you want, which is always the next rank. Know exactly what you want, just like she said, and let's get started. See you, friends.